Hello, my name's Travis and welcome to the GCN show.
Welcome to the GCN show, brought to you by Wiggle.
This week we discuss new evidence in the big debate. Do you really need to harden the flip up for cycling?
We've also got Wout van Aert, e-bike saving the world yet again, and we've even got some quantum physics.
We haven't really got quantum physics, have
Of course we haven't, no. But no chance. This week in the world of cycling, we learned that one of professional cycling's best descenders wants to get even better. Here is Vincenzo Nibali practicing his descents on gravel.
Wow, he is really shifting, isn't he? Now, this doesn't look much like the Poggio, but imagine if this was the finale to Milan-San Remo next year. Wouldn't that be amazing?
It would be, and if it was, I have to say my money would be on his brother Antonio, because look, he's keeping up with Vincenzo whilst filming him, so he's only got one hand.
That is a very good point, isn't it? Right, now we also learned this week that our recent rule-breaking hyperbike video actually has one more illegal thing in it than we thought.
Yeah, unfortunately it's not the mullet, is
No.
it? It's not even the moustache,
No.
in fact, but it's the socks. Last week, the UCI announced that next year they are going to be applying the much derided maximum sock length rule, although slightly worryingly, there appears to still be no minimum sock length.
I'm normally quite supportive of the UCI, Dan, but frankly, that is disgusting.
It is disgusting.
No minimum. Still, Mitch Docker's going to be breathing a sigh of relief that his mullet's not illegal.
Yeah, and Carl Reinen too.
Yeah. Seeing those, I'm quite tempted to grow my own mullet back.
Oh, no,
you know.
don't do that, mate, please.
No? Okay. Right, now we also learned this week that actually it's the perception of pain rather than the pain itself which is really holding you back from riding faster and harder.
That's right. This is from a two-part study conducted by Samuele Marcora and his colleagues in Progress in Brain Research.
Oh, I love that one.
The conclusion of which is that your perception of effort that's the limiting factor in exercise performance when you're in a fatigued state.
I.e., great news, you're actually able to ride harder than you think you can. Just harden the flip up. Now, what's particularly interesting about this research, I think, is that it looks like it builds on the central governor theory that was actually first proposed by the now slightly controversial physiologist Tim Noakes.
His theory being that your brain limits how hard you can push yourself as a kind of form of self-preservation, really, like a rev limiter in effect. However, Marcora's research suggests that that rev limiter can be moved slightly based on your own perception. This tested in their labs with their volunteers subjected to what's known in the industry as a cold press.
Ugh.
Don't know what that is.
No, I don't know what one of those is, and I can pretty much guarantee that their volunteers didn't know what one of those was either when they signed up for the test. Now, from this, the first thing to take is that actually this is not about trying harder on your bike, because it is, of course, about your perception. So instead, maybe the message should be about how you try and make the effort of cycling actually just seem less.
So instead of HTFU, broken down into much simpler terms, it's more about just having pleasure on the bike, really.
Yeah.
So you can get a performance benefit from riding with people you like in amazing places whilst riding in beautiful sunshine.
Yeah. Actually, hang on a minute. No, wait, not so fast, because cycling can't always be nice. So maybe then the key here is to make cycling seem nice more of the time by making it really, really horrible at least some of the time. Maybe then there is actually a point in hardening the flip up.
I have a feeling that the vast majority of our viewers watching this will be looking at two scrawny, middle-aged cyclists.
Whoa, hang on. What? I'm significantly younger than you, mate.
All right, two scrawny, approaching middle-aged cyclists and thinking,
Mate.
they of course need to HTFU. Look at the state of them. However, what we should say is that hardening the up is not about brawn and muscle, thankfully. It's more about suffering.
That's right. And we cyclists know how to suffer, which is, as Dan said, just as well because we have neither muscle nor brawn either. At this point, Dan, I suppose I could say, hopefully, the suffering is there for a reason. Because for many of us, I mean, we're going into the winter, aren't we? A time of cold, wet, windy, miserable, kind of suffering type rides.
Yes. Ultimately, though, I think whether or not we need to harden the up comes down to what you want to achieve as a cyclist, isn't it? If you really want to compete at your best, you're going to have a degree of resilience and toughness, and certainly the ability to hurt yourself a lot.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, there aren't many pro cyclists who've got to the top without that ability. I mean, let's look at Annemiek van Vleuten as a prime example. I mean, she won her first race back following the horrific crash at the Rio Olympics, where she sustained multiple fractures and facial scars as well.
I know, that was amazing. And likewise, Philippe Gilbert won his first race back just weeks after breaking his knee at this crash at the Tour de France, in a stage which, remarkably, he went on to finish.
Yeah, although unlike Van Vleuten, he then went on to compare his comeback to Muhammad Ali.
That's right, he did, didn't he? Although, like Gilbert, Van Vleuten also broke her knee even more recently this year at the World Championships, and she finished in the top 10 with a broken knee.
Yeah, mighty impressive that, isn't it? But potentially one thing for the pros, another for the rest of us. I mean, if you don't want to race or smash sportives and Gran Fondos, does it really matter?
I think that would make a difference. I mean, if you wake up in the morning planning to go on a group ride and you peer out the curtain and it's truly atrocious outside, why would you do it? I mean, is there any shame in just texting your friends and saying, I've seen the weather and I think I might just stay at home next to the fire, either sipping a beer, or I might go on Zwift and train indoors? I don't think there should be any shame really in wimping out, even though I've just described it as wimping out. I mean, for most people it's not a job, it's a hobby, so why would you put yourself through that?
For the sense of achievement, and because it is fun. I mean, type 2 fun maybe, but we can all associate with that, when actually the ride is only enjoyable after you've got home and warmed up with a cup of tea. And actually, let's not be around the bush. Indoor training is probably the most painful kind of training that you can do. I mean, there are times when I'm in the middle of a session and my core body temperature is through the absolute roof and I'm just longing to be outside with freezing toes and completely numb hands. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess whether you're riding indoors or outside, there's always going to be a degree of hurt involved, isn't it? Because that is what leads to increases in physical fitness. If you're a cyclist, you are going to be used to hurting yourself to some degree, because that is how you get better as a cyclist, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know where I'm at with this, Tim? Harden the up to make the good days even better.
Well,
there you go.
Clearly stated, Si.
Absolutely, mate.
This, as you know, is the point at which we ask your opinion. Do you yourself find that you need to harden the up to get more out of yourself as a cyclist? Let us know in the comment section down below.
I reckon you do, mate.
I think I do, yeah. It's time for our little plug of the GCN shop now, which we move forward in the show for fairly obvious reasons.
Well, that's right. I'm sure you've all been sat there going, hang on a minute. A signed Dan wearing sort of metallic edition limited Black Friday t-shirts.
We are.
Yeah, you'd be right.
Yeah. What they're not surprised about at all is the fact that you've got silver and I've got gold. Exactly. You've just suddenly been promoted. Well done, Si.
In the absence of Emma, I don't feel like either of us really deserve it, do we?
No,
anyway, there we go.
Anyway, along with the t-shirts and the long sleeve t-shirts, which Si is now sporting.
With my
very
muscles
well.
and brawn.
Well, you've got a double t-shirt going on now, so that's helped you slightly, hasn't it?
Yes,
but we've also got special gold edition fan kit. Really like this jersey, actually. Check that one out.
That's cool, isn't it?
And along with the jersey, there is also a casket with the special gold part underneath, if you're a peacup kind of person.
Oh, yeah.
And also these gold edition socks. They're all available for a limited time only. You've got until the 28th of November. And they're all at a special price, even though they're the same quality as we normally have over on the GCN shop.
Yeah, and don't forget as well that the November sale that we announced last week is still going as well. So whilst you're over there checking out this stuff, you will, of course, see some pretty cool discounts on other stuff as well.
Yep, shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com, or there's a link in the description below this video. It is time now for GCN's Weekly Inspiration, which is your weekly chance to win either £50, £75 or £100 of vouchers to spend on Wiggles online shop.
That's right, and if you haven't got the message yet, it is weekly as well. Right, starting with third place. This is an absolute belter of a shot, isn't it? This is sent in by Alan, riding a 1989 Bridgestone MB6. But let's face it, that view, that's pretty cool, isn't it? That's on Maui in Hawaii. It's the climb of Haleakala at 10,000 feet, apparently.
I've got no idea if that's right or wrong, so I'm guessing wrong. But there's no feeling like getting above the clouds, is there?
No.
It can feel like quite a dreary day, can't it, when you're down towards sea level? And when you get to that point where you just go above them, it's an amazing feeling.
That is fantastic, isn't it? What I want to know is where that zebra crossing goes.
In fact, had I been at the bottom, as he probably was when he started his ride, I'd probably have called my mates and said, I'm sorry, I probably won't come out for today's
There you
ride.
go. That
I
is
would have
one
missed out.
reason
I
why
would have
you
missed out.
Why you HTFU.
Yes.
Right, what's up next, Dan?
Yeah, second place goes to Will. This is an Isla bike, CNOC 14. My son George learned to ride his pedal bike having just turned 3 in June. This was the first day, on the 1st of September, that he rode his bike until the sun went down.
Oh, wow.
As the sun set, he stepped off his bike and asked if he could do the same thing the following day. And I think that is an inspiration to all of us, isn't it? We all remember our first rides on a bike, and as we're now parents, we definitely remember our kids' first time without stabilisers.
Indeed,
An
we
amazing
do,
moment.
yeah. We've still got first place to announce. This one sent in by Philip, and this is actually sent in from the south coast of England, Beachy Head. Look at that.
Isn't that an amazing shot?
Isn't it just? Now, you might not be a bike packer, but that kind of makes you want to go sleep in a tent, doesn't it?
Yes. It's like they're at the Northern Lights in Norway somewhere, isn't it? Not on
Yeah.
the South Downs in the UK, but that is a stunning photo.
Yeah. Now, I've got to say, Dan, actually, that makes me very nervous, that shot. For those of you that know Beachy Head, you'll know that there's a huge cliff, and well, I'm a sleepwalker, so I wouldn't guarantee that I wouldn't open the tent and just stroll off the edge. So yeah, I look at that and think, that's amazing. I'm going to camp somewhere a bit safer.
I would have got up in the morning thinking you'd wimped out at the following day's ride. Little did I know that you're off the edge of a cliff. Anyway, if you'd like to get involved with the weekly inspiration, you probably know what to do, but I'll remind you anyway. The hashtag is GCN Inspiration over on Instagram. Or if you would like to use our uploader, there's a link to that in the description below. I think all of them are for the uploader this week. Yes, they were.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
We'll start cycling short with some good news. No matter what training you've been doing, your power to weight ratio might just have improved. Although only if you work in kilos.
Well, not technically if you work in kilos either. But we did think that the news coming out of the General Conference of Weights and Measures was of interest to all of us weight-obsessed cyclists. So over there, they had what they described as an emotional vote.
Oh, I can
and
imagine.
what that means is that the definition of a kilogram has changed from the physical international prototype kilogram to Planck's constant.
Yeah. Now, as you know, we're pretty well qualified physicists here, aren't we? Yeah. But even so, we'll probably steer clear of that describing and explaining quantum. You know.
Yeah. We're joking, of course. What we should really stick to are tires and friction. shouldn't
Yeah,
we?
absolutely.
Good at that.
Yeah. No. Sorry about that one. We did do our best, but clearly we need to go back to the drawing boards with our GCN Does Science classes on this time and have another crack at our cornering non-experiment. So if you are a qualified stunt person who is also relatively handy on a bike, or indeed you're a physicist that knows the difference between, well, friction and grip and all sorts of stuff, then please get in touch.
Yeah, please do get in touch. What's important with this is that firstly, you are willing to come up at very high speed, but secondly, you're insured to do so. That's an important
The
qualification.
physicist doesn't need to crash, do they? Not necessarily.
No.
Just the stunt person.
Yes, that's right. All right, moving on to Wout van Aert, who's been slipping down the order a little bit in cyclocross at the World Cup at the weekend, but he's still cheerful. Here's a video of him over at SRAM's HQ in the US of A. And isn't he cheerful?
Oh,
my
yeah.
goodness, he's spreading cheer all around the office and oozing his passion for cyclocross and spreading it to everybody else.
And when people ask me, do you like working here? I tell them no. I love working here. The people are great and I'm very involved. I make sure SRAM products can handle extreme punishment. I go to meetings. I help in the kitchen. Are you gonna finish this?
Inspirational stuff right there. Wow, I did enjoy that video though.
Yeah, I did too. Right, sticking with office-based cyclists for a moment, albeit one that's recently retired, Simon Gerrans updated the world on what he's going to be doing now. He's just taken an athlete internship at Goldman Sachs Investment Bank. There we go.
Yeah, over in London.
Yeah.
If he's half as canny off the bike side as he was as a bike rider, I think he'll make a hell of a banking, if I'm perfectly honest. At least whilst he's in London now, he'll be able to have a guilt-free beer, won't he? Retired,
yeah.
bit like me. Although I did see this tweet from Thomas de Gent the other day, and it appears that he, a current pro rider, also enjoys a fair few beers.
Yeah,
Check
he's
that out.
swapped his vice for sausages for one of beer. He's that man after your own heart now, isn't he?
Good taste too. Triple Carmelite is in there. Love that one.
Right, completely changing the subject now. It's a very interesting piece of research that was actually commissioned by Uber, carried out by the Steer Group. And it was into the use of e-bikes in 2 major cities, London and New York. And they have worked out that if those 2 cities really take e-bikes to their hearts, we're not entirely sure what the criteria are here, but that it would reduce, or replace rather, 812,000 car journeys per day in London, reducing 154 tonnes of CO2 per day. And in New York, it'd be 300 tonnes of CO2 less emitted into the atmosphere. Isn't that
immense
bonkers?
Statistics, aren't they? One of the stats I most liked, actually, was that when Uber trialled their Jump e-bikes over in San Francisco, during that trial, there was 10% less demand for their cars. Now, whatever you think about e-bikes, I know there's plenty of people out there that hate the things. I mean, that's got to be a really good thing, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a separate thing, isn't it? An e-bike for transport and an e-bike for sport. Now moving on, last week we suggested you put a note in your diaries for the World Bicycle Relief charity auction that is now ongoing, actually, as we speak. But we've got another one for you this week because Team Dimension Data have got 3 of their X-Pro bikes up for grabs at the moment, and proceeds for which will go to the Quebecer charity. They've got Cavs, haven't they? As one of the 3. Bosun Hagen, Steve Cummings and Mark Cavendish as well.
Unique opportunity right there. And as Cav pointed out, it's even more unique because it's one of the few he didn't crash last year. Cav said that himself on Twitter, so I feel like I can get away with it too. Incidentally, Team Dimension Data have just had their first get-together for the forthcoming road season down in Cape Town. And that, once again this year, was the scene for the finale of the Men's Zwift Academy. They went through a few more trials over the last week, and they've got their winner. So riding for Team Dimension Data's Continental squad next year will be the 19-year-old Slovenian Martin Lavric.
Oh, congratulations,
Well
Martin.
done,
That's a pretty good opportunity, that, isn't it? To understate the situation. Anyway, last thing for Cycling Shorts. So we settled the age-old question last week. Can you ride a pump track on a road bike? Turns out that yes, you can. And if you're Blake from GMBN, then you definitely can, and much better than a roadie.
Yeah, it was blatantly obvious that he was going to be a lot better than you, even on a road bike, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it also turned out that Andrew got there first, having taken a slight detour whilst bikepacking the length of the UK.
Yeah, how cool is that? Stopped off at a local pump track with a massive saddlebag. Now, incidentally, there's a video up on GMBN now where I then tackled the pump track, but on a mountain bike this time.
I haven't seen that. Are you any better than you were on the road bike?
I think he just wants to show off. Because I think he can jump. But I want to see him jump. Well, oh! Okay. I see what he did there.
Well, a little bit better, but not by much. Anyway, I'll let you judge.
I will.
Now, some of you may well remember that we've used Schindelhauer bikes before in some of our urban videos, and we've always been impressed with the quality of them. So we reckon it's certainly worthy of a shout out for the fact that for 2019 they're releasing 4 new urban e-bikes.
Yeah, I like these bikes, and one of the things that I like about them is their names.
Well,
They're not called the Schindelhauer Carbo Evo SLE Super Mega Turbo 5000. But they're actually called people's names. So, Adam has a Marley hub motor on the rear, and Heinrich, Carl, and Hannah all have Bosch motors in the frame. And Carl, right, get this.
Go on.
The world's first single-speed bike powered by a Bosch motor.
I doff my cap to you there, Carl. Very good. Now, what I reckon is so cool about these as well is the fact that they use belt drive. So it's really clean and tidy, isn't it? And I just think that, that is probably the future for urban bikes.
Yeah, big fan of the low maintenance of it.
Yeah, in the past I was a little bit unsure of it. I thought, is it really necessary? But actually, most people who use a bike around town absolutely hate cleaning them, don't they? So that certainly gets a shout out.
It is time now for Hack /Bodge of the Week, and we've got a lot to get through this week, so let's crack on.
I hope that means there's lots of hacks and not
Well,
really
let's see.
bodges.
I'm deeming the first one a hack, despite it looking like a bodge. It's from Kane Constantine. This is a message from him on Facebook in which he said, "How's this for a bloody hack?" And although that's quite an arrogant thing to say, I kind of agree with you, Kane.
That is brilliant. I've been wondering what to do with my ironing board for the last 15 years or so. You've probably been wondering what my ironing board is. But look at that. Now I know what to do with it. That is amazing.
It looks remarkably stable, doesn't it?
Is his front brake lever hooked over the other foot?
Well, I think no, the front wheel's just resting on the bottom, isn't it?
Genius.
Absolute genius.
Love it. There's even clearance for the cranks to turn and everything. Right, fair play. That is a bloody hack. Okay, next up we got this one from Tom Mulqueen. Had to replace a pair of pads in an event recently, and the retaining pin was goosed, so I had to improvise with a little bit of brake cable. Nice.
Yes.
What's that little thing he's held it in place with, Dan? I don't know what that is. Is it from a plug?
It's probably from something like that, Si. I never get involved in anything like that. I just tend to do the washing up at home. Get somebody that knows what they're doing and with brawn and muscle to sort everything else out. Anyway, I'm saying that's a hack. Next up, this from Merlin. Made a chain catcher guide of an old GoPro mount, riding it on a 1x crossbite of the road derailleur. I'd say that's a pretty good hack.
I think that's a good hack, yeah.
He kind of hacked it, hasn't he?
Well,
If it works, it's a hack.
3 hacks out of 3 so
Right.
far. Oh, well, this is good.
This next one's from Joe Early, who's the son of Martin Early. He's been enjoying some mountain bike riding a little recently. But yesterday, his old man Martin sent this over. He's a former Tour de France cyclist, if you don't know who he is. Night riding, 1990 style.
Wow, look at that motorbike light.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
A visible reminder of what it used to be like to ride at night on a bike, wasn't it? Because they were just terrible, we don't realise how lucky we are now.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? The size of my front light, how much power it pumps out compared to the size of the front light I had in 1993 when I tried to go mountain biking. Yeah, crazy.
I feel so old. This is what we used to have to put up with, kids. Right. Next up, this is genius, it's from Jack. In his home garage, after upgrading bottle cages as the paint on my old one started to chip away, I thought it'd be a shame to just throw them away when coincidentally needing a bike mount. Look at that.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, I've never had a spare aluminium bottle cage before. They always break before they go, before I could glue them or screw them to the roof.
Well, you're so tight that you'd wait for them to break before you use them for anything
Oh
else
yeah,
anyway.
there'd be no problem with that paint chipping off an aluminium bottle cage as far as I'm concerned.
Well, this one's definitely a bodge site. It comes in from Doug, but I thought you would sympathise with him. Just trying to stay warm, he put. He's got gaffer tape holding up some leg warmers. You have the same problem with arm warmers often, don't you?
Yeah, and sometimes leg and knee warmers. Not at the moment, thankfully, but yes, in years past I have had, yes.
I once received arm warmers when I was sponsored by the Rally mountain bike team that were so big I just used them as leg warmers. They were perfectly the right length and they weren't too tight
muscles and broad.
Right, we're going to have to keep rapidly go through on because I love these last and I want to get them in. This from Thistle's Tales on Instagram. Has used some old inner tube to keep his dog's bandage waterproof. I just love the photo for that one. And we'll finish with a bodge, which I think could be a hack really, because although that looks like an almighty
Why is it a bodge then?
Well, I don't know what I'm saying.
It's a bodge that could be a hack.
It's from Aaron Higgin. I mean, it looks awful, but I would imagine quite effective.
Basically, well, yeah, I mean, you'd still get hot legs, possibly sweaty hands, but that'd be good for your face, wouldn't it? So I see why you're on the fence, Dan.
Yeah. Anyway.
Hack or bodge, mate?
Bodge. You decide in the comments. Let us know what you think about Aaron's bodge or hack. If you'd like to get involved for next week, the hashtag is GCNHack. You can use that on Twitter and Instagram, or you can use our uploader.
Caption competition now. Your chance to get your hands on a GCN Camelback water bottle. All you got to do is write a thoroughly amusing caption to a photo we're going to give you and stick it in the comment section down below. We'll pick a winner next week. The winner to this photo, which we gave you last week, is it's a bit of a perler, isn't it? Dan, you want to read it out?
I will do. It's from Scott Bolton, who put caption competition, size coming off face. See what you did there, Scott. Well done. Get in touch on Facebook with a message with your address and we'll get that out to you very soon indeed. This week's photo comes from the Shanghai Criterium. You going to get it started, Si?
No, go on, mate. I reckon you do it this time.
Okay. Headline. Sock doping, the least of the UCI's worries for 2019. They do look hilarious. I mean, Sagan there on the right. Look at the state of him.
Yeah, looks like some kind of weird stag do gone wrong, doesn't it? But there we go. Marcel Kittel, Geraint Thomas, Peter Sagan.
Yeah. And somebody in the middle that didn't draw a short straw.
Doesn't he look happy about
it? Look what I've managed to make them dress up as.
Right, anyway, get involved. If you can come up with a caption that even gets close to the genius of Dan's, stick it in the comment section down below and we'll pick a winner for next week.
We have once again picked out our 3 favourite comments from the last 7 days of GCN videos. The first of which came under the gravel versus crossbite, which technically was slightly over 7 days ago, so but nevertheless.
Breaking our rules, Dan.
This is from Onza Man in Kazakhstan. Since you guys are now invading our trails, can we at least still make fun of your spandex? Sincerely, GMBN.
Yeah, they still make fun of our spandex.
The mountain biking that I watch, cross country, they do wear spandex.
To be fair, there's also quite a good video on GMBN from the weekend where Neil races a spandex-clad cross-country guy, and he gets absolutely roasted.
Well, I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not either. I mean, I didn't want to tell Neil how much aerodynamic drag there was coming from his flappy baggy
But
clothes.
you did anyway.
Yeah, he glazed over. It was really weird. Right, next up, this comment from Tobias D under last week's show. Dan somehow looks completely different. What's happened to him? Is he okay?
I went for a change in hairstyle. I felt like 2 years down the line, I needed a change. But there were a few comments along those lines, like, has Dan just given up on competing in the hair states with the new presenters?
It's artfully messy. How did you not work it out?
Well, if I'll be completely honest with you, my wife Lorraine sent me down to the hairdresser and said, I'd like you to look like Miles Kane, please. So this was the closest that he could get. Probably not very good.
I'm not sure I know who
Anyway,
Miles Kane
shall we move on? Well, he's far too cool for school and therefore for you to know, so. John Burnell wrote, wow, Ollie's skills are so extreme they blew off his facial hair. This is also from last week's GCN show, an extreme corner. I think he was rumbled there, wasn't it? It wasn't actually Ollie.
Yeah, also the fact that his body double had muscles.
And brawn.
Yeah, muscles and brawn.
Gave it away.
Basically. There we go. Honestly, who'd bring a stuntman in for something like that?
Well, I know, so I know.
Yeah.
Right, coming up on the channel this week, on Wednesday, we've got how to plan your next cycling adventure, courtesy of you, I believe.
Indeed, yeah.
On Thursday, it's top 10 bargain cycling accessories from James, and then the two of you combined, don't you, on Friday for the next edition of Ask GCN, I think.
That's right, looking forward to that one. Saturday, what with the new 2019 bikes cropping up all over the place, we take you through the new Shimano 105 that was released this year. Then on Sunday, we've got how light is right, finding your perfect cycling weight, but then also the dangers that go with it as well. And then you were waiting for the epic ride from Oman last weekend. Sorry about that. It's coming out this weekend instead.
Yeah, and then Monday, of course, is the GCN Racing News show again, the next round of the UCI Cyclocross World Cup featured there. And then Tuesday, we're back in the set for the GCN show.
Right, we're getting towards the end of the show now, but we, of course, still have time for Extreme Corner. And this week, it's Kurt Varese in Here to Slay, which is a wicked video.
Feel like me Millie, but I ain't from Philly. I'm popping the wheelie, I show up my grilly. I do this for really and for my family. Sunshade every night, man, it's so familiar. The bitches, they kidding me. Like, bitch, are you kidding me? Ballin', that's just you kidding me. You can't get rid of me. Hey, you in my chain and my chain, bitch, I'm real good at coming straight.
Oh,
smooth as silk, isn't he?
Yeah, they call it Steezy, you know?
Yeah, I know. But I didn't know that. Do you think that was actually him, or was he employed as stuntman?
Well, that's a good point, Dan. You never know, do you, mate?
No, you don't.
Never know.
Right, well, that is, as I mentioned, all for this week's show, but we'll be back at the same time next week, and we hope you'll join us then. In the meantime, if you haven't already seen John's video from Japan, where he looked at the lucrative world of Keirin racing, as I heard it's pronounced rather than Keirin.
Apparently so.
Really interesting that is. You can find that video just down here.
Yeah, remember, of course, as well, that you've got a limited time to get your hands on the Black Friday metallic range as well, and also the sale that's currently on, so head over to the GCN shop.